everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Netherlands Awakens Week. My name is Marije, and I'm very happy to welcome you to the virtual experience at Ripley's Believe It or Not, showcasing a 5-story building filled with an extraordinary collection with interesting and sometimes weird objects gathered by the curious explorer and world traveler, Robert Ripley. This virtual experience is part of the Tiqets Awakening Week, which is a 6-week celebration of the reopening of over 100 museums and attractions in 6 countries around the world. And these venues have worked day and night to reimagine their experience and introduce new hygiene measures to make it safe for you to visit again. And now these venues are rolling out the welcome mat with these online experience for those who aren't able or willing to travel yet, but still want to experience and reawaken cultural institutions worldwide. We will start the experience at Ripley's Believe It or Not very soon now, but as people are still joining us, I will kick us off by sharing some logistical information about what to expect and how to use the Zoom tool. If you have any questions for the presenter, you can submit them through the Q&A button, which is at the bottom in the center of your Zoom window. So you will have the opportunities to ask questions at the end of the presentation, and feel free to send them through the questions, and we will try to answer them at the end of the session and answer as many as possible, obviously. You can also vote on your favorite questions by giving a thumbs up so that we can make sure to ask the best questions first. This is a Zoom webinar, so your camera will not be on, but you can use the chat to communicate with your fellow attendees and the speakers. So you can, for instance, share where you're coming from, where you're joining us from, or leave a reaction during the session by using the chat to message all panelists and attendees. If you have any technical difficulties, use the chat to message to all panelists, and we will try to help you out as soon as possible. And if you have trouble with your audio, usually leaving and rejoining the meeting is the easiest solution to fix the problem. And then finally, this presentation is being recorded, and we will be sending the recording to all registrants in the coming weeks. Now, without further ado, I'm happy to hand over to our host for this virtual experience, Boy, who is about to export us to the weird and wonderful world at the heart of Amsterdam's Ripley's Believe It or Not. So, Boy, the floor is yours.
Yes, hello everyone, and welcome to Amsterdam. As you can see, I'm on Dam Square right now, which is also where Ripley's is located. Just a 10-minute walk from the central station, so very centrally located. I'm going to be showing you around. So here is the building, very centrally located. We'll just be crossing the streets, trying not to get hit by any bikes. So for those of you who do not know, Ripley's is actually an auditorium, and we have very many strange things on display, all collected by Robert Ripley in the 1920s and 30s. So he was a world traveler, and he went all over the world to more than 201 countries, and he collected the strange and the unbelievable, such as the world's tallest man over here, who was part of all of his shows. So as you can see, he's over 2.72 meters tall, which is unbelievable. And to make the story even more unbelievable, he passed away when he was 22 years old from an infection on his leg. How crazy is that? So we'll just go and enter the museum right now. Our great friend welcoming us, the Gurner. So as we head up these stairs, we've got an Olympic torch, which is actually quite a special one, as it's signed by Muhammad Ali. Got even more exhibits just on the way to the entrance, like a KLM coffin, the world's smallest car. All right, so this is the start of the museum. This is where everyone enters first. We've got a collection of over 26 Olympic torches, which is the largest collection of torches in Europe. So there's a few really cool ones. One from Moscow. So, as I mentioned, Robert Ripley was a world traveler, and he went to over 201 countries. And he was more popular than the president at one point. And he did all kinds of crazy things, like making radio shows, television, even made a couple of movies. And everything was about the strange things he found throughout the world. So we're just going to be heading into the jungle area right now. And of course, there's a lot of photo opportunities. So my lovely colleague Julia is going to show you the cave bear photo opportunity. Boo. So this is a Padang woman, and you might have seen pictures of these on the internet or videos. It's the ladies who stretch their necks, and actually we think they stretch their necks, but it's actually the rib cage that gets compressed, and that's why the necks look very long. So we're coming up to a very special product. We're one of the only attractions that have these on display permanently. They are shrunken heads. Now these are genuine shrunken heads. They're coming from Ecuador. And the Jivaro Indians would cut off the heads of their enemies, and then they would boil them in hot water, and they would do all kinds of rituals to shrink the head. So they would also use hot stones and sand, and they would use gold. That's what gives it the black appearance. And they would wear it around their neck like a trophy. So we've got 3 on display, and they're all genuine heads. Not very many people have seen these because they're very rare. So we can continue on to the next part. And again, there's another very special item on display here. And it is actually a piece of the Berlin Wall. I'm sure everyone knows where the Berlin Wall was located and what the story is around it. So I'll just be showing it to you. We've got various other war items. And this soldier made of miniature toy soldiers. Believe it or not. So next there's a little bit of a scary area. So fair warning, if you do not like to see torture devices, please look away for a minute. I won't be explaining much because it is quite a bit, intense to see for some people. So I'll just be walking through it over here. An Iron Maiden, people would be put in and they would get speared to death. Some torture masks. A couple more items. So as we continue on to the next floor, there's another great item, and it's a giant transformer. So we'll be getting there soon. And the building actually has 3 floors of really great exhibits to see. We have a lounge at the top floor as well. So this is the robot, and it's made entirely of car parts. Isn't that great? It's also a great place to take pictures again. And as you see while we're walking around, there's just so many items. When I'm walking around, I still see new things every day. I don't think I've explored the full collection yet. So you can spend a lot of time here in the building when you visit. It's an Indian made of paper. So next we're coming up to an interactive, which is new. We just recently renovated during the Corona crisis. So this is actually where you have to try to roll your tongue. And there's a secret part, second part to this that I'm going to show you later. So please remember this part and we'll get to it in a bit. So of course there's a lot of Corona measures that we have to do right now, which goes without saying. So there's a one-way route and there's 1.5 meter stickers everywhere, of course. People are wearing their masks. Got some crazy animals here with 2 heads, 6 legs. Horse with no legs. And these are some of the new exhibits that we have. So there's a little miniature cinema. Just gonna take a seat here and give a little preview. So of course, this is one of the old movies from Ripley's. I won't be showing the whole thing, just a minute of it. Of course, you can see it in full when you visit us.
Story that interests our readers, Mr. Ripley. Tell us about this trip you're starting. Why, I'm taking some friends for a flight to gather some new material for the Believe It or Not thing.
And we have a new shouting room. My colleague will demonstrate. So once you go inside, you can scream as loud as you can. And on the left side, you will see the decibels that you produce, which is not very many, I can see. And you can compare it with all the loud animals that there are, such as cuckoo, cicada, and a bat. Who knew that a bat could produce such a loud sound? So here's another new exhibit, which is our illusion. And again, shortly my colleague will be popping up. So you can obviously make great pictures for your Instagram account right here. And this is a fun new one that we have. So a few of the exhibits that we have are made of strange materials, such as this one, which is an Eiffel Tower. And it's actually made of matchsticks. World's fattest man. So right here we have a shooting gallery. And there's actually some people playing it right now, so I can show you what it's all about. So you have to hit these targets, try to hit as many as you can, and they all give a very fun effect. We have a balloon chair. This was actually flown over the United States, just held up by balloons. So we're getting to one of the parts of the museum that everyone really loves, and it's a fun one. It's our space tunnel. So you will see in a second, it's absolutely crazy. You can lose your balance, do a little dance inside, or try to do a little dance. It's very disorienting. So you automatically start walking sideways when you walk through here. So we have a few interactives. Of course, I'm not going to show you everything because that would spoil the visit for when you come. But I am going to show you the second part of the roll your tongue area. So the mirror that I was standing in front earlier is actually a one-way mirror. So people on this side can see the other people rolling their tongue. And the people rolling their tongue cannot see you. So she cannot see me right now. So this causes for a lot of fun experiences for people because it's so unexpected. And you can actually also scroll back for yourself, for your own video. Let's see if I can find myself here. There I am. right, so we'll be continuing on to the next floor. And while we go up, I'd just like to mention that we are always changing. We're always adding new things to our collection. And actually this week, a container is coming from, sent out from the United States with a lot of new exhibits. So they will be shown in our museum next month. Here you have a better view of the transformer. Again, made of car parts. And of course, you can take a nice selfie by standing behind the transformer. Now, a large part of the collection in Ripley's is artworks made of strange materials. So this is a great example, and I'd like to see if you can guess what it is made of. I think that's close enough for you all to see. So leave a comment if you know what it is. So as we enter the red light district over here, I see someone already knew the correct answer. It is made of Lego. This is our red light district area. The lady with the lotus feet. So we really like explaining the strange and unbelievable. So it's not just the lady that is here with the feet on display, but the story is actually told about how these things happen.
For 900 years, this version of the
So I'm sure you all remember a couple of years ago, there was this meme on the internet about the dress. Is it gold and white or black and blue? And I can tell you it is black and blue because we have it right here. So this next room, there's a little bit of a story to tell. Right now it's actually empty. And that's because the delivery of the items that are going to be displayed here was delayed. Now, I am very happy to announce that they arrived this week, and I'm going to be giving you a sneak preview later when we get to the top floor. I'm going to be showing you one of the sculptures that's going to be on display here, and they will all be on display at the end of the month. So we'll just quickly continue on to the next room. Here is our royal room. There's a lot of replicas of crown jewels here. And believe it or not, fact about these is that this entire collection is still worth over $1 million, even though they are replicas. This is our Dutch room. We created a few of the classic Dutch houses. There's a lot of bikes here, of course, because we are the bike capital of the world. So Ripley's has a lot of things for everyone to do, young and old, as you can see. There's artworks made of dryer lint, artworks made of chewing gum. So I hope you can hear me in this next room because we're entering our music room and it's always a little bit loud. We have the Beatles made of chicken wire. And we have a little mini disco here where you can dance all by yourself. A little private party. Artworks are made of rose petals. So with J-Lo here, with Katy Perry, Lady Gaga. And this is Elvis. And there's a lot of other stars. So the next room is our ocean room. We have a giant megalodon jaw. So the jaw itself is actually human-made, but all of these teeth are real megalodon teeth. And it is the largest single collection of megalodon teeth. This is a Fiji mermaid. And to know if it is real or not, you're gonna have to visit. So this is the boat area, and Robert Ripley had a boat that he also sailed around with the world. And so we tried to recreate the boat. And this is actually a model of the boat that he owned, the Monley. So it's a Chinese junk, and he would sail all over the world, and he was very known for having this boat. And the boat is actually currently in possession of Ripley's. It's owned by Ripley's, and they're actually renovating it right now. So, some sketches made by people. This is crayon art. I'm sure you all know the real painting, the girl with the pearl earring. Another one made of nail polish. And of course, Robert Ripley was a cartoonist, so we have to have some of his original cartoons on display. As you can see, he would draw the unbelievable things that were happening at the time in the world. So of course, there's another interactive where you can touch the wall and the cartoons come to life. So we're getting to the next floor. This was the last floor full of exhibits. And we're getting to our lounge right now. So this is a nice place to sit and relax after you've spent a few hours in the museum. And of course, we have a beautiful view over Dam Square, which I'm just going to show you. As you can see, this is Dam Square, with the Royal Palace in the background. Now, believe it or not, I have the sneak preview for you. I'm just going to go to the back of the kitchen, just so I can show you one of the miniatures. Got some drinks for you to enjoy. All right, so sneak peek. Here we go. Just gonna put it in. Now, I'll show you it first without the microscope because it is unbelievably small. So these sculptures are made in the eye of a needle, and they are made by Willard Wigan. And so, I don't know if you can see this, but this is a needle, and inside the eye of the needle, there's a sculpture. So it's about 2 millimeters small, I'd say, about 1 millimeter wide. And you can barely see what it is right now, but once I put it in the microscope, let's see if I can get a good view for you all. Just a second while I adjust it. All right, so let's see if I can catch this on camera. There you go. It's actually the Statue of Liberty in New York. Isn't that crazy? It's so unbelievably small. He has to make it under a microscope, and he actually has to time his heartbeats. Otherwise, he messes up, and he's not able to make them if he doesn't have very steady hands. It's unbelievably small. And so we have 6 of them, and they're all going to be on display at the end of the month. So be sure to come and check them out because they really are amazing, amazing sculptures. Right, so I think we're, oh, there's actually one more thing that I have to show you. It's actually unfortunately closed right now because of the corona measures, but it's actually 2 virtual reality machines. So as soon as everything is back to normal, these 2 will be turned on again and you can enjoy a virtual reality experience. Of course. Nice mask on my face. All right, I think that is the tour that I will be giving you today. We'll be heading back for some Q&A questions in a bit.
Thank you, Boy, for this wonderful and very interesting tour, I have to say. And also seeing these rare objects and hearing stories of rare artifacts. So indeed, we have a couple of questions for you from the audience. So when you're ready, we can start doing the Q&A.
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. So the first question is coming from Daniela, and there are actually a couple of them. So I will break them down in parts because otherwise it will be too long for you to remember what the question was or is. So are you still adding new things to the exhibition?
Yes, absolutely. So as I just said, we renovated during the start of the Corona crisis. So when we were closed for a couple of weeks, we took the time, we didn't sit still, and we created all these new exhibits, like the half-body illusion and the one-way mirror with the royal tongue. And actually this week they sent out a container from Miami that is going to be arriving here next month with a lot of new items as well. And of course the miniatures at the end of this month.
Nice. So that partly answered the next question. Like if you're indeed adding new objects to the exhibition, where are they coming from and from whom? Do you buy them or do you get them as a gift? Or...
Right. So Ripley's is actually a well-known brand in the United States. That's also where it originates. And there are 31 Ripley's, believe it or not, museums. And there's a central location in Florida where there's a warehouse where they store every single item that they collected, that Robert Ripley collected, and that they're still collecting. And actually they could open, I believe, about 20 more museums with the items that they have in their collection over there. I went there the last year and it's really an amazing place to go. And yeah, that's where we get all of our items from.
Okay. And does that mean that each museum, Ripley's Believe It or Not museum, is carrying the same collection, or does it vary from museum to museum?
Right, so they are all different. The concept is, of course, the same because, it was done by Robert Ripley, and we want to show the strange and the unbelievable. But every item is different in every single museum. So it's always going to be a different experience wherever you go.
Okay. Another question. Can you say or tell a little bit more about Robert Ripley and his history?
Yes, so Robert Ripley was born in 1890. And in 1918, he started working for a newspaper. And he made these cartoons with unbelievable sports feats. And soon this transitioned into believe it or not facts because he started traveling the world. So he would write about the crazy things he would find throughout the world. And people really seemed to enjoy it because you have to imagine back in the day, there were no planes flying around yet. And you'd have to travel by boat most of the time. And as soon as as soon as the planes started coming, then everyone could do it. But back in the day, it was, of course, not possible. And he traveled to over 200 countries, which is incredible. I myself haven't been to this many countries, so it's unbelievable that someone was able to do this in the 1920s. And yeah, he traveled around the world and drew about the things he saw. And he had people, polyglots, who would come with him to translate what everyone was saying. And he really liked to be factual about all of his items. So they always collected evidence about all of the things that are on display. And this grew out into a giant imperium. He would have radio shows. He was one of the first people to broadcast from underground, from underwater, and he even broadcasted while skydiving, which is incredible. And he created TV shows. And unfortunately, during his, I believe, 14th TV show, he had a heart attack, and he died a few days later from this heart attack. All of the items that he collected were then sold at an auction. And yeah, that's how the museums came to be.
Nice, amazing story as well.
Yeah.
Question from Floor. Is the artwork conserved in such a way that it will last for a long time? So, for example, the rose petals or the toothpaste?
Right. So most of the things, they're behind glass, of course, and they're such unconventional things. Usually they don't degrade as much as oil paintings, for example. So for example, the Lego items, yeah, they're going to last forever. And Lego, as we know, doesn't, you'll start missing it, but it's not going to break down. Things like toothpaste, yeah, the color will fade a little bit, but yeah, you can see the image most of the time still.
Cool. Another person would like to know who came up with this idea to do sculptures in needles.
Yeah, so this is Willard Wigan, as I said. He's the one who creates these sculptures. Yeah, he has world records in the smallest sculptures that he's made. So for example, he has a sculpture that he made out of a beard stubble that he cut off, and he hollowed it out. And there's a sculpture of a baby inside of it. And it's so unbelievably small that a human embryo could actually fit in it as well.
Oh, wow.
So this is unbelievable how he does it. So
Okay.
it's Willard Wigan, and there's multiple exhibitions from him around the world as well.
Okay. And how many of those sculptures did he make?
Not sure of the exact number. We are going to be having 6 of them over here.
Okay.
I know that there's quite a few. I think over 50 at least.
All right. And then someone wants to know well, I forgot the question. How much the fattest man weighs, actually?
I believe he's over 600 pounds. So that's
600
350 kilos, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. That's really heavy.
Yeah,
And what
yeah.
is your favorite item in the museum?
Right, so I actually didn't show you this one, but I could run down really quickly to show it to you.
Yeah, I mean,
Why
we
not?
we definitely have time, so.
Great, so we'll be running down, and actually it's the sculpture of Hananuma Masakichi, and he was a Japanese man, and he knew he was going to die, and before he did, he created a sculpture of himself. And actually, once we get there, I'll show it to you. But there's one crazy thing about the sculpture. The sculpture itself is already amazing because it's made of 2,000 pieces of separate pieces of wood, and you can barely see any seams when you're looking at the statue. So we're almost there. All right. So this is that statue. So this is Hananuma Masakichi, and it's a perfect image of himself. And now the crazy thing about this is that he actually used his own hair, nails, and teeth to put them inside the sculpture. So he made tiny holes for every single hair, and the nails as well, and they're all his own. So it's crazy. It looks exactly like this man if you see an image of him. It was for his family to remember him.
Wow.
So this is definitely one of my favorite items, along with a few others. Of course, the shrunken heads are really amazing as well. They're so rare, and yeah, it's a great story, of course. So those are, my 2 favorite items, I would say.
And about the shrunken heads, there's just one
Yes.
of them, right? I mean, it's just, you have them. There is no other museum that has them at the moment. Is
So
that right?
other
There's
Ripley's locations do have a few of them as well, because the Ripley's collection, I believe they have around 20 shrunken heads, could be even more. So those are all genuine. The thing is with the shrunken heads is that usually they were made, fakes were made with snake skin, lamb skin, sheep skin, the leather, and they would just recreate it, but it doesn't really look as real as these. And if there's a female with a bust, then they are definitely fake. And that's a lot of the sculptures that you can see are females with busts. So these shrunken heads, they are genuine, and you can tell by a couple of things. The skin, you can see that it's very, very natural looking still. The hairs are very natural looking. So there's just a few telltale items that you can tell that the shrunken head is real or not.
Okay. And so how do you work with other Ripley museums in other cities and countries? Do you have traveling exhibitions? We know that the displays aren't similar, that basically you find different exhibitions in, but how do you work together? Or who decides, basically?
Right. So sometimes we have a torch, like for example, last month there was a torch that we had over here from Sydney. And we had to send it to Australia, to the Ripleys over there, because they were renovating and they wanted to display the torches of Australia, of course.
Oh,
So we
yeah.
sent one away, and then we got new ones from the storage. So we got the Sochi torch. So there's always transfers going on. And there's always the database, of course, with all the items that they have in storage that we can look at. And if we see an item that we want, we can get those as well. Of course, we visit the other museums to see how they're doing, and we share how the things are going, and we help each other out for sure.
Okay. And so actually on that note, what item would you really like to have in a museum? I'm sure you must have seen something that you thought like, oh, okay, that would be cool to have here in Amsterdam.
It's a really good question because there's so many items. I really have to think about this one. One of the things that I remembered from my visit years ago from Orlando was actually the miniatures. So I'm very happy that we're going to be getting those. They always stuck with me, and I really remembered one of these items when visiting Ripley's. So that's one of the items that I'm very happy to be getting here. Let me think of another item that I really would like to have. And there's so many things. There's great artworks that you can see over there. There's actually a pinball machine of Ripley's as well that was made in back in the day. And they have a couple of them in the storage. I would actually really like to have one of those as well, because it's one of my favorite classic games.
Okay, I can already hear that the wish list is quite long, and which is for the audience, of course, great to see, and start revisiting Ripley's, believe it or not, once they've been there before. So basically, Rob, Boyd, these are the questions from the audience.
Right.
I see a lot of reactions, like, people really enjoying the tour. So thank you for that.
Glad.
Thank you. And then also thank you to the audience for this, for joining this Tiqets Awakening Week's virtual experience. As mentioned before, all the recordings of our Awakening Week's virtual experience, including this one, will be made available online in the coming weeks. And if you're in the Netherlands and you also want to experience the Netherlands Awakening in person, visit the tiqets.com/blog/awakening weeks for information on all our Awakening Weeks around the world, including this one. And then last but not least, I would like to thank you, Boy. I would like to thank Julia, Robin, and the rest of the team for arranging this great tour. And once again, thank you everybody for joining, and we are looking forward to finding more ways to culture with you again soon. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.